So welcome back to another episode, and yes, the episode is called The Reviews I Got Wrong. And this is going to be a fun one for me to look back on some reviews I did over the years that I kind of look back on now and I'm like, man, if I could just change that review just a little bit, I'd like to change it again because we've all been there, we've all played games that we thought were really amazing and we tell our friends to go and play them and then our friends play them and they go, this isn't that great, or no, it's not living up to the great amount of fun that I thought it was going to be. In fact, for my friend Andrew, I recommended Lunar, the Silver Star story many years ago on the Sega CD, and he sold his whole collection to get it. And the game is a great game, but it didn't live up to his expectations selling his entire collection. So I'll ask you guys, what games have you recommended to friends that they've come back and said, geez, I really don't like this game? Let me know down below. So the first one I want to talk about is from 2018, and I've wanted to talk about this for a long time because nobody talks about it anymore, and that is for Starlink, the Battle for Atlas by Ubisoft and Nintendo. This great beast here, and there's a lot to talk about here, and I reviewed this in 2018, and I was singing the praises of this. I wasn't saying it was a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but I think I was applauding the toy aspect of it and how you can put the toy onto your controller and all of the things that you put onto that ship at that point show up in the game and you can change it backwards, forwards. It was a fascinating concept and I was really kind of hypnotized by this game, by the concept of this game. And it came out on every system, PS4, Xbox, and this is the Nintendo Switch version, which came with Fox McCloud and the R-Wing. And I gotta say, I loved this. I thought this was so cool. I thought it was neat because I'm a big lover of toys. I've always collected toys throughout my life. I love Transformers, G.I. Joes, anything space related. I've always been there. And I like the idea that this was a toy included with the game. You don't have to play the game with the toys. That's another thing I mentioned in the review back then. You can just play the game on its own and unlock the characters within the game itself, or you can have some fun and do some collecting and get this great beast here, as I say. So what did I get wrong with this after 7 years looking back on the review I did? I first of all want to say, I gave the game 8 out of 10, and I just want to say, I don't rate games. I never rate games. That was something that I went on to Victor Lucas' show, and he would always get me to rate games or movies and stuff like that. So that was a new concept for me, and I never do that for my reviews. I just say if something's a good recommendation or not. And so it was very unusual for me back then to give it an 8 out of 10, to give it a score. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 for the Star Fox, for the Nintendo Switch version. I just want to say what I got wrong was the game is good. The game is good. And that's about it. It's a 7 out of 10 game. But what happened to me was the whole Star Fox aspect of it, the whole toy aspect of it, brought the review up and pushed it into a whole different way. Because in my mind, while I was playing the game, I felt like I was playing a Star Fox game, even though it's not. Where Star Fox, some characters are here with, Fox McCloud and the R-Wing, but it's not a Star Fox game. And I was kind of giving it a bit more of the benefit of the doubt. I was kind of enjoying the toy aspect a little bit more than what I should have been, honestly. And I look back on my review and I think it's a 7 out of 10. I know it's only like a 1 score difference, but I was kind of hyped up. I think a lot of us were. Were any of you, caught up in the hype for Starlink, the Battle for Atlas, to collect all the toys? It was a really fun idea back then. It was, and it still is. And I look back on it, and I had to go dig this up. And I brought it out, and I was like, this is kind of fun. And I'm just gonna, even I have to open this up again after so much time. Here's my game. Yeah, and here's the ship. Like, this stuff is pretty cool, right? Stuff is pretty cool. And there we go. Fox McCloud, can I get him into focus? I can. And I was caught up in the hype of the toys. And it was a very unusual concept. Nintendo was really doing some unusual concepts. I'm going to come back to that later on in the video for another kind of game that I want to come back to. But this was such a weird combination of Ubisoft coming up with this like universe to explore with toys. And does it come together? It's an okay game. It's fun to explore the universe and fight all these aliens, make alliances. You can do split screen in the game. There was a lot to like. There was a lot to collect. And ultimately, it bombed. This bombs very, very hard. And I gotta say, I'm sad that it bombed because I like the idea of it. I love the idea of the toys. I like the idea of scanning toys, bring it into the game, vice versa. It was a fascinating concept that ultimately was too expensive to get into for a lot of people. A lot of people just thought it was a gimmick. And they would be right, because it is a gimmick in a lot of ways. But it was an interesting gimmick. It was a fun gimmick. And a lot of us really kind of bought into the gimmick. And that's the thing that I kind of look back on now. And I think I kind of got suckered in by the whole Star Fox in the game mentality, thinking it was a Star Fox game. It's not a Star Fox game. It's a Starlink game, the Battle for Atlas. It was its own thing. And I'll ask you guys, what did you think of this when it was released? Were you like, no, I'm not getting this at all. This is stupid. Or were you kind of like me, a little bit hyped to get into the toy collecting?
Never thought I'd miss the food on Corneria.
Now, this is an interesting one. In the year 2000, a great classic game would be released, and it was a kind of pseudo follow-up to another huge classic game of Chrono Trigger and its sequel, Chrono Cross, or its pseudo sequel, however you want to call it. This game was fantastic, and there's a lot of people that love this game, a lot of people that didn't like this game at the time. I remember sitting there playing this game and having my friend Satan, my friend Aaron, and my friend Rob come over to my apartment, and I was playing this game, and I had a beer and I had a cigarette going, and I was in heaven. I was in heaven, and they knew when they came over. They're like, "Oh my God! Like, this is so your game. This is perfect." Like, I think they were happy for my enjoyment of the game at that time in the year 2000, which is 25 years ago, which is kind of like a little bit spooky to think about. But I fell in love with this game. I loved that it was a departure from the original game. It was very, very different, more mature character designs that I fell in love with. A lot of characters to collect, and this tropical island feel to it all. And the music, I mean, we could just go on and on and on, and maybe I should. And the music is so fantastic that I believe this is still in my top 5 soundtracks of all time. Final Fantasy Tactics and this are right there. Some of the best sound. I think I have not stopped listening to the soundtrack in 25 years. I love the game. I really adore the game quite a lot. Great role-playing game by Squaresoft at the time. And then that was it. And then the game kind of like faded into darkness, and nobody ever kind of really talked about it much again. Until the year 2022, we were getting something that we couldn't believe. I couldn't believe. We were getting a remaster of the original, and right here, we're getting this, the Radical Dreamers edition. I was so excited, I couldn't believe it. Chrono Cross was getting a return after so many years. So I reached out, can I please get a review code? They sent me a review code. I played the game, and I was just taking it all in, and I was loving every second of it, basking in that moment I had back in 2000. You know, I was just laid there, just playing this game in pure heaven. And I started to play the game again, and I was really excited. I was really excited for a whole new generation to maybe, hopefully, find the love that I found with the original when it first came out. And would people enjoy it the same way? I was hoping so. So I kind of gave a glowing review. I was really happy to see this game make a return. But there was one thing that was up that I did not notice at the time. I didn't at all. And that was when the game original came out, the frame rate was not good. And I gotta tell you something. I'm somebody who came from the 1980s. All I played was bad frame rate games, and I just learned to accept them. And sometimes I don't have a great eye. I actually think I have a much better eye now, but the frame rate wasn't good, and people were complaining that, oh no, the frame rate's terrible, and what, da, da, da. And I felt so bad, and I felt I let everybody down, that I didn't notice that the frame rate wasn't good. And I was just like, why didn't I get that in the review? And why didn't I notice it? I got to be more, do my due diligence even more to get this stuff right. And so that was something I was always upset about at the time. Yes, the good news is it got patched, and I got all fixed in that way. But at the time, it was just one of those things that really was like just something in the side of my head going, oh man. Because I really was blinded about how much I loved the game. And I even talked to my friend Rob. My friend Rob came over afterwards. And we were talking, I think we even talked about it in an episode. I'm like, I didn't even notice that the frame rate wasn't that great. I just kind of thought, oh, it was just kind of like the original, as I say, I just grew up with nothing but bad frame rates. I'm sure a lot of you out there are the same way. But now with the progress of technology, we all have like PlayStation 5 Pros, and we're all counting the frames and the graphics and all of that. And if it dips below 60 frames a second, people are screaming. And it's funny. But yeah, that's one of the ones I kind of slipped on. But you know what? The gameplay itself and the game itself is still a phenomenal game, and one that I still recommend highly to this day. So another game I would really like to revisit right now is a game that is a remake to one of my favorite games of all time, and that is for Final Fantasy VII. And I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII, the remake that first came out on PS4. And there'd been rumors that they were remaking this game, but we're all like, oh yeah, that's never gonna happen, that's never gonna happen. And then in 2015, they revealed the trailer. And at the time, I was visiting my mom and sister across, the continent. I was visiting them in Ontario. So I just had my camera, but I didn't have my, obviously my set or anything like that there. And so I watched the press conference there when it was released, when they revealed the trailer. And I was blown away. And I had to go into my sister's basement with all my nephew's toys and all his junk in the back, because there was nowhere to film to post my reaction, because I couldn't believe it. Finally, after all of the crying and freaking out we've been doing for years, we've finally been listened to, and we're going to get what we've always wanted. I just was so enthused that they were doing a remake to Final Fantasy VII. And I couldn't believe the visuals. I mean, it was like something beyond all of us. And I think the entire internet was shocked and in awe that we were getting such a thing. We're like, I can't believe they're remaking Final Fantasy VII. And look at how this looks. It's beyond reality.
At last, the promise has been made.
I was so looking forward to the game, and so my anticipation was building, like my anticipation to play the original Final Fantasy VII was, and it was getting bigger and bigger. And I think what it was is, for so many of us, we have so many fond memories on that PlayStation 1 playing Final Fantasy VII. We have so many nostalgic memories, and we just wanted to get that feeling back again. That's all I wanted, was to experience it. And I knew it was only going to be the first part of the game, not the entire game. And I was okay about that. I was like, hey, I'll play 1% with those kind of graphics. And then in 2020, I think it was April 2020, the game was released, and I got a review code for it, and I played and finished the game, and I was like totally taken back. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was great. And I came in and sang the praises of the remake, and I was really excited about it. And I was still fighting a lot of health issues then, at that time in 2020, but I was so excited to play the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I just want to do everything in my power to help all of you and the planet.
And then, the review's over, I'd finished the game, and I was moving forward in my life. But something kept kind of coming back to me. Something was haunting me in the back of my head. I'm like, what is it? What is it? And I'm like, Final Fantasy VII the Remake. Final Fantasy VII the Remake. I'm like, what? The interesting thing is, I think graphically, sound-wise, and voice-wise, they did a phenomenal job. And I think the game is an unbelievable piece of software. I think it's really amazing. And nor could the remake ever live up to the original in a lot of ways, but I feel that it didn't live up to the original in my mind. And that's okay, because I've often said, we always have the original. Nobody can ever take this away from us. It's always there. The remake doesn't destroy the original. They were expanding upon it. And I get that. My problem was, I just felt that I didn't have a lot of exploration in the game itself. I always felt the game was holding my hand too much, taking me to the next cutscene, taking me to the next unbelievable cutscenes. And they were amazing.
Get down here, Merc.
And I've often thought that Final Fantasy VII is more of a ride, more of a roller coaster ride. Yes, the game is there, there's gameplay there, but it always feels like it's taking me to the next cutscene. Almost like a Xenosaga kind of experience. There's a lot of cool gameplay, but all of a sudden we're off to the next big gigantic cutscene. I felt it got a little bit better when Integrate came out. I love playing that. I really enjoyed that. But they finally figured it out. And they finally figured it out with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Finally, they weren't holding your hand. They let you off the leash to go and explore. And that's what I want to do in an RPG. I want to go off and explore and figure things out and find my own way through the world. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth nailed it. And I really liked where they'd taken the series. So I think with the first one, they were playing it pretty safe in a lot of ways. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Did it live up to Final Fantasy VII for you, the remake? Or did it fall a bit short? Or were you just happy to play a full-on remake? I was happy to play Final Fantasy VII again with those style of graphics and get to experience the world in a different way. And I really think that they nailed it. And I still am very happy with the experience. Did it live up to my expectations in the long run when I look back? Not exactly, but still a great experience.
It's upon us. The reunion. When worlds merge. I'm waiting, Cloud.
Okay, for the final game is more of a funny one for me. And I just want to say that anybody who loved this game, who enjoyed this game, I want to shake your hand. I do, because you were able to enjoy something that I aspired to enjoy, but I didn't. And my review on this game has even gone down even more. And people were mad at my review in the first place. They were mad at the review. And that is okay. It was for Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And that came out in 2017. And I gotta say, when I first saw the game, I was like, okay, this is a really strange combination. But you know what? I kept an open mind. And it was not really my type of game, and that's the problem. I don't know if I should have played this game because it wasn't my kind of genre. I went in not really particularly liking what I was about to play. And when you think about it, from a review point of view, you gotta go in with a level head. And I did, but I didn't like the game. And the gameplay's totally fine. There's something about the Mario franchise and Rabbids coming together that mentally just didn't work for me. And I know so many people found it endearing and cute and beautiful, and I totally am with you. I just didn't feel that way. I thought it was kind of weird for the Rabbids to enter the Mario universe. I just thought it was strange for all these characters to be interacting. And over the years, there's been many series that have crossed over with each other, X-Men versus Street Fighter, Tekken versus Street Fighter, things like that, where I just felt that this one didn't feel right. And it felt very strange, and I couldn't buy into it. But I went in to try to enjoy it, and I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10. And I think people were upset that I didn't like it more, and I kind of was a bit down on it. And the funny thing is I'm still down on it. I think I'm down on it even more. I thought it was a weird thing, and yes, there's been a sequel. And for anybody who enjoyed the game, I'm really happy for you. I'm not here to squash your enjoyment of the game. I just went in to try to enjoy a game, and I didn't. And I was always upset that I couldn't have enjoyed it more, and that my score over time has kind of probably even gone down even more, because I just didn't like the concept. And I think sometimes if you've got to go in and review a game, you've got to at least enjoy the concept that you're going into. Like, imagine going in saying, I don't like RPGs, but I'm going to review this RPG. And then you go, I didn't like this RPG. And you're like, well, that's a bit of a wonder, isn't it? So maybe I should have prefaced it by saying, I'm not really into these style of games, but I thought I'd give it a shot. I think that's a bit more a thing. But I did go in with an open mind, and I didn't hate the game. I just didn't particularly love it. And so, guys, I'll ask you, what are some games that you played that you particularly loved that other people hated, or vice versa? Like, reviewing video games is very subjective. We all know that. One man's treasure is another man's garbage. So, there's some games that I love that people absolutely hate, and vice versa. This is a fun medium, and wherever we can have some fun and enjoy ourselves, that's the coolest part. And if you go in and try to like something you didn't, that's okay too. We're always trying to find something that we're going to enjoy. Sometimes we kind of miss the mark for sure. And I just want to come in and talk about some fun ones from, back in my past and how my thoughts have changed on them over time. So anyways, guys, until next time.